This is not your regular YouTube video, because in this video I am going to be showing you how to record professional video by taking your craft from this level to this level. If that is something that you're into, then stick around. Let's figure this out. One of the easiest ways by which you can transform your DSLR video into a very high quality video is by adding movement to your shot. Movement brings life to the shot and makes the whole thing looks very professional. So that is why most film directors or on film sets, they spend a lot of money on dollies, cranes, drones, and any other thing that can bring movement into the shot. So make sure you have a plan of introducing some form of movement into your shot instead of going with static shots. The next point is to surprise your audience by shooting from very irregular angles that they will not expect, because it ends up making the video very interesting. So just take a moment and think about a very unique angle that you can use to tell your story from another perspective. The audience are only limited by what you show them. So angles are really important. So before shooting, just take a moment, think of that unique place by which you can place the camera, because at the end of the day, that is one of the major things that separates amateurs from professionals. So I challenge you to take a moment, think about it, place your DSLR or any other camera at a very vantage position that you know an ordinary person would not waste time to do, so that when you do it, it adds another whole new dimension to your story. So, the next point to consider is stability. Stability is key when it comes to video. So just take a moment, think about whether to place the camera on a tripod or maybe put it on a gimbal, a stabilization gimbal that you can use to move around. Stabilization gimbals have become cheap over time, because time passed, that was only reserved for Hollywood films or big films, because those were very expensive. But in today's world, stabilization systems have become so easy. We have the Zhiyun crane, you have the Ronin S, and a lot of stabilization gimbals out there that you can buy to add some form of stability to your movement. And if you are like me out there, you can't afford or you don't have the money to be able to afford this, the other alternative is to make sure that you hold the camera very well while shooting. As you can see on your screen, these are ways by which you can hold the camera to get the best out of it, and make sure that you stick to one concise movement. If you are panning from left to right, make sure to stay true to that movement, and if you are tilting from top to down, make sure you stay true to that movement. Keep everything simple and don't complicate everything. Okay, so the other way by which you can leverage the power of shooting quality videos on your DSLR is by learning the exposure triangle, which is by learning how to shoot in manual mode. What is manual mode, you may ask? That is by learning your ISO, your shutter speed, and your aperture, how to use this judiciously, because leaving your camera in auto mode is a recipe for disaster. So make sure to learn how to use manual mode on your camera. And I know that might be intimidating for you as a beginner. When you hear manual mode, you get scared certain times, but I entreat you to take a step to just pay attention to it, because it is not all that difficult as you may think. And you can also start with the semi-automated modes, because trust me, today's DSLR cameras and mirrorless cameras have become so advanced that you can do half manual modes, which is by using aperture priority mode, shutter priority mode, or any other priority mode that is there, which will allow you to manipulate one side of the triangle whilst the camera handles the other equations within the exposure triangle for you. I have another detailed video on this channel teaching you how to use your camera in manual mode. You can click here to watch it, or I will share another video on how to shoot video in manual mode, another awesome one from another awesome creator here on YouTube. I'll link it up here, or check in the description below for more details on that. So just take a moment, make sure you're shooting in manual mode, and that can help you produce very high quality images. So the next point is by making sure you are shooting with your white balance set to manual instead of auto. Now, I know you may be asking, what is white balance? White balance, just to make it simple for you, is simply the temperature at which the camera is perceiving color at. Now, if you know basic color theory, you know that when it's morning, all colors tend to move towards a certain direction, and when it's evening, colors tend to move towards a certain direction. When it's midday, colors tend to move towards a certain direction, and when it's 9:02, again, colors look a little bit slightly different. And when you have an overcast, it's also slightly different, like if it's about to rain or you have clouds up there, because the clouds tend to serve as a giant diffuser, so the colors also again begin to look different. So equate white balance to the way the camera renders colors or perceived colors within the scene. So imagine you select night mode whilst you are shooting in daytime, so all your colors will tend to blue, and cameras are not there yet, although sometimes it might get it, but once the camera keeps moving, then you see everything begins to change within the frame, which makes you look unprofessional. So to really leverage the power of your video and to make it look very professional on your DSLR camera, you need to make sure that you are selecting and sticking to just one color mode within your shoot. For example, when you take Canon cameras or most of the DSLR or mirrorless cameras out there, you can actually get daylight mode, or you can simply use cloudy or night mode depending on the time that you're shooting. Just make sure that you lock this down. But on the advanced level, you can also use a gray card or just any white surface within the scene and make a custom white balance. If this all sounds confusing to you, just stick to the first one, which is by just going to the menu and sticking with daylight if you're shooting within the day, or by selecting cloudy if you're shooting within a cloudy environment. Do this, keep it simple, and your videos will continue to look high quality. The next element that is going to help you produce high quality videos on your DSLR is by using the right lens. The right lens will now help you to be able to capture with a shallow depth of field. And I know you may be asking, what is shallow depth of field? Now, shallow depth of field is simply achieved by blurring the background. It's not just limited to the lens. A lot of things come to play here. Even the distance between your subject and the background all comes to play. For example, I'm currently making this video on the Osmo Pocket, and so the whole background and everything is actually in focus. But if I was shooting with something like this or a camera like this with this kind of lens, I could virtually blur the background and just have only my face, or just have me showing whilst the background is totally blurred. It is actually called bokeh in the professional world. And guys, before we jump out of this point, just please remember not to always rely on autofocus on your camera. There is actually a good place for autofocus now, even within professional sets, but there are certain situations where you still need to use manual mode. And if you're a beginner, I still entreat you to stay with shooting in manual because it will help you become a better filmmaker. Alright guys, so the next point is to make sure you are recording with a flat image profile. What is a flat image profile, you might ask? For example, this video is originally captured in a flat image profile, and this is how it originally looks like. Pretty boring, right? You realize all the colors are actually moving towards the black and white, and after working on it on post, this is how it actually looks like. Pretty interesting, right? You can see how all the colors look really, really vibrant. So when you are capturing, make sure the image looks a little bit of black and white on your screen. That is to simplify it for you. And by taking that footage to the editing, it gives you a lot of room to be able to color grade it. And the good thing here is that most of the cameras come from the manufacturers with some picture profiles already pre-installed in your camera. You can just use the neutral picture profile on your camera, and as a beginner, you're good to go. Use that for some time, and when you are comfortable with color grading, you can upgrade to your S-Log or whatever kind of log that your camera manufacturer has to offer. The next point is choose the right frame rate for your video. Traditionally, you are supposed to go with the 24 frames because that is what we are all accustomed to, because that is what Hollywood, or it has become the Hollywood standard to shoot in 24 frames. But if you also want to shoot in slow motion, also feel free to explore the 60 frames option, or 120 frames or 240 frames per second. Because your camera can capture at 120 frames doesn't mean you should always capture at 120 frames per second. Let's use this analogy like a car. Because your car can move at 244 miles per hour, doesn't mean that you should also speed or you should move the car to that particular level. That same analogy works here. Because your camera can go up to that level doesn't mean you should shoot at that higher frame rate. If you're not doing slow motion, you're good to sticking with 24 frames or sticking with 30 frames or maybe 23.97 frames, depending on which part of the world that you reside in. So the last tip I have for you here is to always make sure you go prepared. Make sure you always have extra batteries with you in case you're using a DSLR to capture a video, because most DSLRs by nature were made by their manufacturers with photographers in mind, or photo first. So the battery life with most of these DSLR or mirrorless cameras isn't that really great. So make sure you always have extra batteries with you, always, anytime you are going to capture any video of a sort. And guys, at this point of the video, if you aren't subscribed yet, guys, I'll much appreciate it if you do click on the subscribe button, smash the like button if this is something that you're into, because it goes a long way in helping other people discover our awesome content right here on the Africa Amazed channel. And if you're new here, guys, we talk about photography, videography, cinematography, editing, and all its other related branches. So if this is something you are into, and I'm always super pumped up, as you can tell, we make awesome tutorials right here in the Africa Amazed channel. So I much appreciate it if you do smash the like button and click on the subscribe button, because it goes a long way in helping us create such awesome content like this. And this is actually my very first video for 2021, and I have a lot of awesome content like this stock for you right here in the Africa Amazed studio. Well, right here in the middle of Africa. So guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, because I always personally reply to every single one of your comments, because you know what? You guys are the ones, you are the real champs. Without you, there is no me. Without you, I am not here. And so every single one of my milestones here on YouTube is dedicated to you guys. You guys are the real champs. And see you again next time when I bring you another awesome content right here in the Africa Amazing Studio. Again, right here in the middle of Africa. Oh man, so tired after shooting that video. Woo!